Let's go back to item number 2, House Bill 1385 by Chairman Ragan. Second. Mr. Representative Ragan, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This is the bill that I had before you that I rolled on the basis of inputs that I got to take it completely out of the code. And then I got emails after that indicated there were some problems with that. So I'm back before you with the bill as it was originally written, and I'm asking for your vote on it. Its purpose, quite straightforwardly, is to clarify TCA 3917-1301 by defining the phrase intent to go armed in order to avoid a constitutional conflict, and so that the average citizen can understand it. The impact, straightforwardly, is that citizens will not be accused of wanting to hurt others by accidentally having a weapon in an improper venue or just carrying one, period. I will point out to you in the email that I sent you earlier that we have a court case to deal with. That is to say, the Heller case and the Bruin follow-up case. In the Heller case, the court ruled that there is an individual right to keep and bear arms, and it is assigned to the individual. The majority opinion of that court basically held the following. The Constitution was written to be understood by the voters, and its words and phrases were to be used in their normal, ordinary, as distinguished from technical meaning. Normal meanings can include idiomatic meanings, but excludes secret or technical meanings that would not have been known to the ordinary citizen of the founding generation. I also quoted for you in the email I sent you the Tennessee Constitution, which basically, I'll quote again for the sake of the record, that citizens of this state have the right to keep and bear arms for the common defense, but the legislature shall have the power by law to regulate the wearing of arms with a view to prevent crime. That phrase, the view to prevent crime, is what this bill is about, is establishing a definition of the intent to go armed as it relates to a view to prevent crime. The bill is straightforward. It's only 4 lines. It defines the intent to go armed as meaning carrying a weapon with premeditation and forethought to commit an infamous crime, and does not include inadvertent or unintentional intrusion to an area which such weapon is not permitted. A straightforward definition which eliminates the conflict that exists currently between the Tennessee Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. With that explanation, I stand ready to answer questions.
Thank you for that explanation. Members, we do have guests here to testify, so without objection, we'll go out of session. We will hear from Elizabeth Stroker, Patrick Powell, Jimmy Music. You will introduce yourself for the record. You'll have 3 minutes for comments, and what we'll do, we'll just go 1, 2, 3, and then we'll have the committee, if they have questions for you, come back and do that. But help yourself.
Elizabeth Stroker, Legislative Director for the Department of Safety. We have some concerns with the bill, not necessarily because of the intent. I think the intent to make things clear is a valid one. However, as I've explained to the sponsor of the bill and some people in this committee, this definition actually is going to do more harm than the good it's actually intended to do. It is going to specifically say that if someone does not have the intent to commit a crime, then they are not carrying with the intent to go armed. That means if we stop someone who's carrying a firearm or any weapon, this definition would allow you to carry any weapon anywhere as long as you do not intend to commit a crime. If we stop them, if they say, hey, I have no intent to shoot somebody or harass somebody or assault somebody, there's nothing we can do. So that's kind of where, again, the intent is valid of what the sponsor is wanting to do, but how it is being executed here actually does a lot more harm for anyone who wants to carry lawfully and anyone who wants to be safe wherever they may be going when someone is carrying any type of weapon. So our request was that either it be amended, and we tried to work on that, and that didn't work. Additionally, the case law has made it pretty clear that intent to go arm is well understood in the court system in Tennessee. It's not something that is problematic or not understood, and so we don't see a need to fix it, especially if fixing it makes it to where It's going to actually make people be able to carry who legally should not be carrying just based on a definition that is drafted badly. So I'll leave it at that and let TBI go after me.
Patrick Powell for TBI. Similar concerns to the Department of Safety. Again, it's not an intent issue. In fact, we were trying to work with Chairman Ragan on an amendment that we thought could resolve the issue. We were worried about inconsistencies in the code, both from our solution and from this bill. The solution we thought had fewer inconsistencies. This one would allow, again, as she stated, unless you have the intent to commit arguably a felony, you're not going to be prohibited. The problem is several statutes have prohibitions based on the way they've been written in the past. So, for instance, convicted stalkers are prevented from carrying right now with intent to go armed. So deletion of that requirement, or I guess the addition that it would have to be to commit a felony, a convicted stalker would be able to carry all the time unless we could somehow prove that they were going to commit a crime. Similar for a DUI second or more, I believe individuals currently are prohibited. That would change based on the way the statutes are drafted. So it's the unintended consequences of the drafting that give us concerns. I think it causes more confusion. And again, we are unaware of any, confusion on the current language surrounding intent to go armed. So this is a solution in search of a problem. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Jimmy Music. I represent the Tennessee Sheriff's Association, the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police. Both of those associations of local law enforcement in Tennessee had a lot of the same issues and concerns that you heard from the Department of Safety and TBI. Especially in some of these, like the intent to go armed verbiage is in the school setting. So it's illegal and it's an offense to carry in a school with the intent to go armed. And so, if you take that on its face value with this definition, our question was, well, could you carry in a K through 12 school or not? But because you're stuck back to trying to figure out whether that person has premeditated to commit an infamous crime. So I think the argument would be that you probably could, which I don't know if that's the intention or not. It doesn't sound like it. I think it's and we think it's a noble intention to try to accomplish, but I'm not sure that this actually is making it better because that term is used in so many different code sections.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Chairman Holsey.
Thank you. I actually like the bill, and I like the intent of trying to straighten it out. We have folks who believe that we are not a true constitutional carry state, and they have real issues with it. Why can't these two things go hand in hand? Why can't the bill stand that you have a constitutional right by the Second Amendment to carry, so the offense is not carrying. The offense then would be if you intend to commit crime, and I understand what you're saying, but then why would not it's already illegal on the books to carry a handgun if you have been convicted of aggravated domestic violence? Why can't those two work together? In other words, Chairman Ragan's bill stands unless you fall into this category of this, and this, and then you can't.
Patrick with TBI again. I think that the concept you can. The problem is in the execution. The verbiage of different statutes is different depending on the prohibition. There are times where possession of a firearm is prohibited. There are other times where going armed is prohibited. So situations like we've brought up, where whether it be some of the school language, whether it be parks, whether it be a mental defective, whether it be someone convicted of stalking, there are different portions of the code that have been tied to the intent to go armed. So again, the concept is a different animal altogether. It's the execution and the language that we have to go by what the language says, not the concept. So again, with the language being what it is, we have issues.